Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Grief. I am your host, Lakecia, and this is the City of Hearts where we deep dive into real conversations, we explore raw emotions, and we hold space for the parts of grief that most people don't talk about out loud. And this is where love, loss, anger, healing, and truth all gets a seat at the table. And welcome back, you guys. I'm excited to be here with you another week, another beginning of the week here on Sunday. And tonight I have with me a very special guest by the name of Wade Simmons. And Wade is out of Chicago, Chi-Town. Stand up. He's out of Chicago and he is a funeral worker, service worker, as well as he's a filmmaker. And so I'm excited to talk away tonight because he can give us some in-depth look at facing grief on a daily basis. So without further ado, I would like to bring Wade to the stage.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey Wade, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Just had kind of a bit of a long weekend, but it's been all right.
I completely get it. I'm still trying to figure out why I do my shows on Sundays when that is the day I really want to decompress. So
Actually, that's a good, that's kind of a good, day, chill day for for those who go to church and everything and stuff like that. But after that, it's kind of, you know, some people do Saturdays or whatever, but either way, it's the weekend.
it's the
Put it like that.
weekend. Absolutely. So I just want to first thank you for taking the time out today to sit down and speak with me. I know you see this on a daily basis, and so incorporating it to your weekend as well, that takes a lot. So I just wanted to say thank you. So wait for those meeting you for the first time, tell us a little about yourself and what led you into the funeral services.
All right. Well, so my name is Wade Simmons. I'm a funeral service worker from Chicago, also a filmmaker, also trained for pro wrestling. So, jack of all trades, master at none of them. But actually, I do hold an intern license in the state of Illinois because I've been slowly finishing up my apprenticeship here. I'm also a funeral arranger in the state of California, so I'll be
Oh,
licensed there, fully licensed there pretty soon. But I've been taking my time. Look, I'm not rushing the process. Guys, time is not always our timing, but it's okay. But yeah, my day is typically just picking up loved ones and taking them into the care of the funeral home. I do work with quite a few different people, decent people, but yeah, that's pretty much my life. I did work at a funeral home full time for 13 years. And that was something because I started in high school. But to your question about what led me into the business, as a child, I said I wanted to do two things. I said I wanted to be a filmmaker and a funeral director. So God blessed me to pursue both. So when I got to high school, my teacher, Miss Anderson, she called Spencer Lee Jr. and he said, "Okay, just tell him to come in a gold tie. Tell him to wear a white shirt. Get a black suit, and tell him to come on." And he was, very gracious enough to allow me to come into his funeral home, and then eventually that led to me working for them for about 13 years.
that's
So
amazing. That is amazing, especially being such a young age, a child, and telling God, look, this is what I want to do, and actually doing what you set out to do, that is amazing within itself. And obviously it was a natural born ability for you because you went in and you stayed 13 years, 16 years now, right?
yeah, been 16 years. Yeah, well, Spencer Lee Jr., he made his transition, and it was really hurtful. Like yesterday, we worked his service, and some of the former employees, as well as current employees, and some of other funeral homes came in to pitch out to celebrate his life, and that was something. It's really heartbreaking because, like I said, I worked with him alongside of him for 13 years and known him for 16 years because when I started my own company, him and his father was gracious enough to give us an opportunity to assist them. So I still work there sometimes. So that's always my family. So I'm always be there for them no matter what. We're still family. So, but Yeah, it's kind of rough, it's because even working in the business, it still hurts. Like, you know, even people in the business, like, when we lose one of our own, it's like our own family, like it hurts. Everybody has faced and dealt with grief, and it is not a fun process because it hits you differently. I can tell you now, one of my coworkers, Kelly, when they showed Mr. Leak singing, he got the whole world in his hand. My coworker Kelly, he broke down and cried. It hits us all differently.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you spoke on that because that is something, even working in the business, you see death all the time, but you're still human. Those human emotions still arise. Those human experiences still have to go on. The processing of the reality that is now your new reality, it still has to take place. And that's the science of grief. That's something that we typically don't get into, the science of
Oh
grief.
yeah, when you go to mortuary school, they teach you about denial, bargaining, all those things about the different stages of grief. Because when you go to school to be a funeral director, you learn many things because you're going to school to study religion, law, psychology, pathology, microbiology. So it is a lot of different things because in the funeral business you wear different hats. And so you just have to always be willing and ready to serve. I'll tell you this past, like maybe about 4 weeks ago, we actually went to the cemetery where both of my grandfathers and my uncle is buried. And it was something because I went to my grandfather's grave and I noticed something. My grandfather I was 13 years old when my grandfather died. The funeral home that I worked at for 13 years actually buried him. So, and I'm like, that's kind of strange because like
Full
I worked on Chicago PD last year with season 13. I was born on February 13th, so it's like, it's
Wow.
I don't know what it is about that number, but
Alignment. Those are synchronicities. Those are alignment. That's just like that's your ancestors' way of telling you you're on the right path. That's amazing. That's amazing. So you on Chicago PD? Come on.
well, yeah, I worked as an extra on there. It was something that I didn't see coming, but I was just since I've been doing removals a lot more, I kind of can pick my own schedule. And
Yeah.
so, it's been a little different. So I had a chance to kind of do some more film related stuff, working as an extra and all that good stuff. But it was
Well,
it was
look.
pretty cool. Like, look, I got a chance. I got a chance to do like what 6 episodes. I also worked on Chicago Med, but they didn't give a brother no screen time over there. So I got to talk to them about that.
I love it. Well, look, we gonna talk about the filmmaking in just a second because I got some questions about that too. But it's nice to connect with people, especially with grief. You don't think that you will connect with so many different walks of life and different journeys in life. And I'm amazed, still amazed at how many different people I've connected with. Like, who would ever tie grief and filmmaking into the same
But you know
city?
what?
You
I tell
know?
people that as a person who works in the funeral business, you think about it. Filmmaking is storytelling. When
Yes,
you're working on a funeral service, you're helping somebody's story get told. You're
yes.
telling you're telling the beginning, the middle, and the end of someone's life. And so, like I said, I'm grateful to God that He has blessed me to be able to just do everything pretty much that I've always wanted to do. And like I don't think of it as a job. Like it is a service. It is something that I devoted my life to. Like I said, I've been doing it by the grace of God for 16 years and I'm passionate about it. Look, I'm gonna tell the truth. It was a journey, even getting as far as I've gotten. I don't know if I shared this with you, but I remember when I went to mortuary school, almost had to drop out, had to start over. Then got out of mortuary school, still had to pass the exit exam, and it was taking me like 7 months to pass it. So God led me to go to film school. Went to film school. I remember one of the funeral directors like, "Why are you gonna go back to school? You gotta take care, finish this up." And I'm like, "Look, time don't wait on nobody." Right when I went to film school, God blessed me to pass the funeral director part of the test. Then
Wow.
after I um graduated from film school, God gave me a dream that I passed the science portion and went back and took it and passed it. So that's that. So I feel like everything just happens in God's time, and His timing is not our timing. But it's all right. It
Yes,
is
I
what it is.
love that. But I also love how it's not work for you. It's your passion, and you can see it. You talk about it. You live, eat, breathe, and think that service all day long. So it's not a job for you. You'll never see it as a job. And it's going to take you far because it is your passion. And I tell my children every day, I don't care what you do, just make sure that whatever you do in life, career wise, is something you enjoy.
Yeah.
Let it be your passion so it won't feel like a job, so it won't feel like an obligation. So I love that for you.
Yeah, but look, when you're in that business, you never know what your day is gonna be like. I remember one of my teachers in mortuary school. He told us point blank. He said, "If I get a call to pick somebody up," he said, "class is over with." Because that's with that job, you really don't get to pick your hours. That's why I say, like, even though I make my own schedule, if somebody calls me and say, "Hey, Wade, we need you," or whatever, then it comes with the territory of doing that kind of work, because you don't want to leave a family like just standing there waiting on you to come. So you have to pretty much come when you're called. And then again, in this business, it's hard to find good people. Sometimes there's a lot of good people in the field, but sometimes people get burned out. So some people have walked away from the industry, but you just have to find a way to create that balance, because it is a great industry to be in. It is great to be able to help people and connect with people, but at the same time, you gotta not burn yourself out. Cause like I ended up, when I was working for the funeral home full time, I ended up developing a vocal disorder called spasmodic dysphonia. Never heard of it, and the doctors were trying to like get me to take like these Botox injections and stuff in my throat. I ain't doing that, and I end up stepping away from the business, and God healed my voice. So you have
How
you gotta have a balance. Like even in this field, like you gotta set boundaries for yourself. You have to keep joy and be uplifted, because you're dealing with people at the worst time of their life,
yeah,
and you have to understand that everybody does not take grief the same way. Some people may laugh and smile, some people may cry, some people may punch the wall, some people might cuss you out, but you don't take it personal. And you have to be genuine with it too. It's not like one of them things where you can be fake and phony. And I know some people stereotype that, like, but no, like it really has to be in you to do that kind of work.
it does. I agree. It has to be. It's such a touchy, sticky topic, experience, whatever you want to call it. But um, I just remember both times that I had to wait on the corners to come and pick up my grandparents. Um, my grandfather experience stuck out the most to me because the person who came to retrieve his body was very compassionate with how they handled him, and that matters, you know.
Mhm.
Um, he handled my grandfather with care, with dignity, and I
Mhm.
will never forget that. I will never
Yeah.
forget that. My grandmother, I really wasn't as aware of the process with her, because I was so distraught. It was so sudden. But I do recall that when I walked past the director or the person that came to retrieve her, the energy was kind of cold to me. And that it made me look twice, you know. So you definitely have to have a heart for it. I have a god sister who is a mortician. She does this every day, all day. Um, and she knew it too. She knew it from we were like 7 years old, and she would say it, and I'd be like, and then her birthday is October 31st.
Okay.
So I would tease her about that, and she'd be like, "No," But I would tease her, and be like, I would say some mean things. I was a child. But she's doing it, and she's thriving, and going through what I've been through grief and experiencing grief to the magnitude that I have, and just being in this field now, I have so much respect for you guys. Even the more I tell my sister all the time, like, you are so amazing This is my god sister, but I just have to let her know how amazing she is. And now I truly see her heart. Because at first, as a child, I'm like, girl, get away from me. Like, you know?
Well, somebody has to do it. But again, like, so shout out to your
Yes.
god sister. Like, somebody has to do it. But you have to always serve with care, and you got to
Yes.
always have the best attitude. Because again, you're dealing with people at the like one of the worst times of their life, and so
Absolutely.
and you can never tell a person that you understand because again, everybody grieves differently, and so I just learned to let people just grieve.
Yeah.
However they do it, just let them, just give them a moment.
So that brings me to a question because I love the fact that I really don't have to even ask you the questions. It's just flowing. You're answering my questions as we go. But I have a question. Is there a common misconception people have about grieving that you wish would change?
Well, then people get over it. Because people say that time heals all wounds, but grief can last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes we don't like to think about it that way, but because I think about some of the people in my life who has transitioned, and I think about them every day. It always hits me like, man, that person is. And you don't have to even with me. Like, I remember one time there was a young lady. I'll never forget this. Like, when I first started working in the industry, maybe this was maybe like my third or fourth year.
Mhm.
What happened was, look, that's one of the funeral directors calling now, but but when I first started working in the industry, I remember there was a young lady that had just graduated from high school, got a scholarship to play basketball, and she died in a car accident. I didn't even know this young lady, but when I walked into the church and we were setting up, and I remember her family came in and her mother just started screaming and hollering. Like, I went home really sad that day. Like, and
Mhm.
normally I don't take work home with me, but it that just kind of hit me like a really like it never hit me before. It's like, again, like it's to me it's something that people really don't always get over, and like I don't think, like, that's why I don't tell people, like, time. I don't even say time heals all wounds because it may not. It may. And
Absolutely.
it's okay if it don't.
I feel grief is a never ending journey. And I feel that we process grief and we learn to cope, we integrate it.
Hmm.
Grief and love can exist in the same space,
Absolutely.
so but grief, that time heals all wounds, that's one that rubs me wrong too, because no, that's, stop saying that, or
Yeah.
don't tell nobody to get over it, or um the cliches. We don't have to go through all of them. The
Oh
cliches.
yeah, and then I also hate when people say the flowers stop and this stop, and you hear that at every service. Like, okay, okay, get on with it, because some things don't even need to be said. Like, I think that it's okay to just celebrate people's life, and you don't have to
Mhm.
keep repeating the same stuff that was said at every single funeral service. I
No.
mean, 'cause we hear it all. Look, like,
Right. Absolutely. So what are some of the most beautiful or meaningful moments you witnessed between families and their loved ones?
I'm gonna tell you one. Like, I remember there was a memorial service, and it was me and some of the other people that work with us. And this young lady, she sung "I Rise Up." She had like one of the best voices I've ever heard. Because I heard some singing, and I don't talk about people, so it's some singing that be a little good, and it's some singing that be like, okay, I get it. But she had like a really nice voice, and it was just really, like, I never forgot that. Like, it was, I don't know, it was almost like we was getting healed in there just listening to her sing.
Yeah, hey.
But I've seen a lot of different things. I remember this one family, they did a service for their loved one, and they had like a blues band and a jazz band. It was just totally different. Like, so I like to see, like, people just celebrate their loved one in the way that they live their life, as
Yeah.
opposed to just being like this old traditional, just dragged out. Like, no, it should be something to celebrate that person's life. Yes, it's sad to lose somebody, but it's like, you don't, if you're gonna go out with a little style. It don't, and
Yes.
it's not about how much money spent on it. I mean, it's not about that. It's not about how much the casket cost, or if it was a cremation or this or that or whatever. Just long as you celebrate the person's life however you want to do it. You can have a service at a golf course. It's just whenever a person won't have
Right.
to.
I totally agree with that because I do feel like the service is supposed to embody the person's character or personality. You know, that the traditional way, if they were traditional, okay, you know, but let that service be a representation of them because once again, we're celebrating their life, right?
Yeah, I remember one of my cousins when this
Hey,
was my grand,
Courtney.
this was my mom's, this was my mom's father's sister that passed, and I remember her grandson at the service. He like, I know my grandma gone because she would have never worn nothing like that. So like, I think it's important to like celebrate people how they live their life. Like
Yes,
to me, that's more important than anything. It's about them. It's
absolutely.
like it's their show. It's their moment. You know.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Hey, Luna. Look, we're getting people to tune in. Luna, thank you for tuning in. Courtney, thank you for tuning in. Um, so what advice would you give someone who has recently lost a loved one and feels like they will never recover?
I think the best thing for me, I can't speak for everybody, but I can only tell you how I cope with it. But to me,
Yes.
I just reflect. You know, I do a lot of writing poetry. I'm a filmmaker, so sometimes I keep people's memory alive that way just by, through my writings and just through just living my life with purpose every day. Because I think what better way to honor anybody as to remember that all of our days are numbered. So I think it's just important to like, take the time to grieve and process, but also take that time to kind of just grow in life, and just
Yes.
always carry those individuals with you because
Absolutely.
because look, we don't really have any power over that, but we have power over what we do with our own time and our own life. So I just do a lot of reflecting and live my day intentionally. Intention is a powerful thing.
Yes, I love that. I love that. My grief is what propelled me into where I am now. I never thought I would be an author, a podcaster, um, grief coach, you know, you name it. I never thought that any of that, you know, would occur in my life. But after losing my family members, immediate family members, in the way that I lost them and how soon, and I mean, it was just a grief journey itself. I'll say that behind everyone, it was something different. It was like the old Keisha went away, and I was propelled into something else. So my brothers, they really did a number on me, but I'm grateful. I took that, and here I am now. So,
Yeah.
but you got some statements that I want to talk about. You use them a lot, and I want to really dive into them in the meanings. So you said you always say every day is a gift. Use it wisely. How did working in a funeral service teach you that lesson?
Well, because every day I would like, hear people just talking about how things happen so unexpectedly. Like I remember there was one gentleman, he was telling me about his wife. He said he went to work like he always do, and he came home, he found his wife laying on the floor with the baby next to her. And just hearing stories like that is like, like some people walking around fine, and and then because a lot of people just like to ask a lot of questions, like, wait a minute, what happened? Were they sick? What this or that? But the truth is, whatever happened, it doesn't bring the person back.
No,
So it's just the fact that life is just so uncertain sometimes, and so we just have to just take life one day at a time and just be thankful for that day and hopefully use it to the best of our ability. Because a lot of times we talk so much about, I don't waste my money on this and that, but I feel like our length of days is something that we don't get back necessarily. I do believe that, that eternity is real, but I do believe also that this life is a gift. And so we just have to use it like intentionally and use it wisely.
absolutely. I agree. Your other motto, take nothing for granted. What are some things people often take for granted until they experience the loss?
Life, love, people. because a lot of times, like, even when people like get into it with people they love or whatever, and I'll make it right one day. I ain't talking to this person right now, but then something happened, everybody feeling all guilty and things of
Mhm.
that nature. So I just, just choose to live with no regret. Like, yes, I can't say that everybody in my life I always agree with, but you can disagree with people
It,
and you can
yeah,
feel some type of way, which is true. But I feel like you should never let that cause you to hate anybody or be mad at them to the point where I ain't gonna deal with them. I'm like, no, like you deal with people how you deal with them, but just know that tomorrow on this side is not promised to any of us. And so I
abs-
tend to not sweat the small stuff. I'm not gonna say that I don't get worked up either, because I ain't gonna lie, but I try not to sweat the small stuff.
you're human, Way. You're human. So of course we know, but being intentional about not sweating the small things, that is different. Definitely something that we um need to be more intentional about because, like you said, I can walk out of this room right now and fall, and that's that. And then the people that we've disagreed will be the first ones at my casket screaming and hollering, because now they have to live with the what ifs, you know. And I've been in them shoes, so I get it. Um, okay, so how has death changed your relationship with your family and friends? Like, how has being around death so frequently changed your relationship with your family and friends?
I don't get so mad at them so easily. Like I remember one time, me and my friend had an incident with, like, the person waited a day to approach me about something, and you could have told me that yesterday. Like, okay, I'm sorry if that made you feel that way, but don't hold on to that.
Don't
Like
hold it.
like me, I'm one of the people that I try to address things right then and there, but I still try to be like cool, calm, and collected, because again, tomorrow ain't promised to none of us. And so, like, to me, my people will tell you real quick that if I don't agree with something or whatever, I'm gonna let you know then and there, and then we done with it.
Right. Don't hold it. Do not hold it. That's great.
At least I'm done with it. I can't speak for them, but
Not right. But you to release it. You to transfer that energy on over there. But I get it. Like you
yeah,
can't hold on to things. And a lot of people will do that. They hold on to it until they explode, and then now it's total chaos. And then now y'all not speaking for 3, 4, 5 months. And then
hmm
hey, who's to say that you ever speak again? Because who's to say
yeah,
that y'all will be here? So I agree with you on that. Now I want to switch lanes because I'm definitely interested in the filmmaking. So I want to cross those intersections of the funeral services and the filmmaking, if that's okay with you.
sure.
All right. So, being a filmmaker, how has your work around death influenced the stories that you want to tell through your films?
I don't waste no time with working with people. To be honest with you, for me, filmmaking is not just about like just making the movie within itself. It's about bringing people together for something that we're doing in life. Like in the funeral business, people come together because of death. So to me, filmmaking allows me to work with people in life. And like I said, my work is not perfect, but it's mine. But and then like I said, me, I'm a different kind of filmmaker. Like I make my stuff more out of passion and more like to just have fun with it. I don't beat myself up if it doesn't come out quite like I wanted. If it don't, then I just do better on the next one. It's I'm look, I ain't letting nothing kill me in life. I just look, I ain't sweating the small stuff, but I love filmmaking because it allows me to be creative and just express myself,
Yeah,
and work with other people because it's all collaboration.
absolutely. Do you see filmmaking as another way to help people process grief, legacy, and humanity?
Absolutely. I've been the funeral home that I worked for. I was trying to get the vice president to allow me to do a documentary actually on his father, because his father, they've been in business over 95 years, I believe,
Wow.
and they've been like a really powerful staple in the community. And so like I've always wanted to do a documentary like about the grandfather who came from Arkansas to you know come here and then start this family business that's still going strong to this day. And
Wow.
I still want to do it, but I think that it's important because like being a filmmaker, it allows you to tell people's story and give people a visual. And I think it's a lot of stories out here that don't get told in life. Like I speak to a lot of journalists and even a lot of people in the news media because like one of the arguments that I kind of had with some of them was that a lot of times, and especially in the black communities and stuff, is like a lot of time they promote the black stories when it's like tragedy or
Mm-hmm.
something bad somebody did, and it's always pushing those narratives. But there's a lot of talented Latinos and black people and even white people doing very positive things. And I'm not saying that people should do things for recognition or anything like that, but it's just a simple fact that there's other stories that could be told, and there's a lot of people doing great things that kind of get overlooked in favor of all these kind of darker agendas, you know, if that's a better choice of words.
Mm-hmm. I got you. I definitely got that for sure. Um, what stories about death, grief, and healing do you believe need to be told more often?
I think just more about people's life, and when I say people's life, I think the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because in life, let's be real, life is not always pretty. A lot of times in life, we try to edit out all the bad stuff and this and that, but people are human.
Mhm.
And I think that if you kind of alter people's story, then you kind of water down the lesson, you know. And like I said, life is not always pretty. It's not always like people are not always perfect. So I think sometimes to me, I like the fact that with storytelling, you can kind of show a person's journey to how they grew in life or how maybe they didn't grow. Maybe they were a good person and went the other way, but you know,
Right.
maybe they started out good and turned bad, or maybe they started out bad and turned good. So to me, it's just a good thing to be able to just tell people's story. That's all. Like I just like to keep it real.
Either way, it's authentic. Whether they grew or didn't grow, it's authentic. And I think now with technology, um, social media and things of that nature, it allows people to wear the mask even more. And so unfortunately, we're in a era where most people don't even know themselves,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yes.
So
Me and one of my friends, Levi, he's a gentleman that I train with in the professional wrestling business.
mhm.
He he actually we talk about stuff like this all the time, you know. All the time. But yeah, some people don't even know themselves, but that's why you gotta get to know yourself and you gotta love yourself and just be real, be genuine. You don't really have to change who you are, even for society, because the real person is always gonna come out. That's just the way it is sometimes.
So what do you do to take care of Wade emotionally, mentally, after spending so much time at the funeral home or with the grieving families? What do you do to take care of yourself?
I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of writing. I talk to people that are really close with me. Like I said, I did also train for pro wrestling. Like I did that as a hobby because you got to do something fun. Like life is an adventure. Like you don't want just work to just be to just consume your life. Like you have to have a balance. And I remember I was at a mortician convention once, and there was a lady.
Y'all
She
have
said,
conventions too?
"Oh yeah, yeah." Some of them get a little wild to be honest with you, but but to be honest with you, like I remember this one young lady saying like there is no such thing as a balance. But me, I agree to disagree because to me you have to create the balance.
Right.
You have to
Absolutely.
create it because yeah, in her world it might not be a such thing, but I learned you have to create boundaries and a balance for yourself because
Well,
if you
I'm a
don't,
Libra, so we all about balance. So I get you.
so yeah, you got everything just can't be just work. Like it has to be. You got to find something that you really also enjoy doing. Because even if it's a job that you like, anybody can get
Be
burned out.
burned out,
So
right?
you have to kind of know your cutoff point. You know, you
Yeah.
sometimes you might have to say, no, I can't come in today. I gotta do something a little different. Oh
Look,
yeah,
when you said
yeah,
to
all that, yeah, they be turning up.
yeah, they deserve to turn up. You hear me? They deserve to turn up for sure. Because it takes a very strong, courageous, but compassionate person to work in that field. Um, I know for me, being around it in close proximity, throughout the years, especially recently, I stopped seeing death as this hard final thing, and I started to see the beauty within the transition. So that was great for me because at first I would pull on the parking lot of a funeral home and be paralyzed. But now I see death totally different, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I want to come to one of the turn up parties.
Yeah, I know one of the guys had a little too much to drink at one of them because he almost fell in the pool when we was in Texas.
Yeah, I want to come to the turn up party. I'm sure that y'all have a blast, but I'm sure it's needed, you know, with everything that you guys do on a daily basis. Um, how has your work affected your spirituality or your beliefs about life and death?
Oh, it affects it tremendously. Like I said, I'm a firm believer in the afterlife. But I also believe that we should never live in fear because it's something that we have no control over. I
Yeah.
just think that you live your life to the best of your ability. That's really all you can do. But I think you can't go wrong with treating people right and loving people and being kind to people and not looking down on people, and not being so greedy or attached to material things. Because nobody can take anything with them, you know what I'm saying? So it's like to me, it's more important things in life. And I think it's okay to have things that you like and you cherish, but it should never be to the point where like you value things more than people, you know.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the biggest problems in this world is that sometimes people can become too materialistic, and after a while you realize a lot of stuff is just it's only stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's only stuff.
Because you for sure can't take it with you.
Ain't take it with me.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't take it
So,
all.
um, and Courtney had a question. What do you say to someone who is fearful of death?
That's a great question. I would say to me, I would say just focus on life. Ask God to open your understanding of what your purpose is and what is for you to do in this life. And I think I don't know if it takes away the fear, but I think it just I don't know. I think it makes you just more aware of like how you treat people, and how you treat yourself. Because like to me, I think love is a powerful thing. I think,
Yeah.
a lot of times people talk about love, but I think love is something that humanity should have for one another. I believe God is love. I think that love is a really powerful thing. That's why, like, we look at things like homelessness and things like that. Like it's like it's not that people are bad or anything. I think it's just a lack of love in the world. Because if I love my brothers and sisters, then I don't want to see them down. I'm not gonna kick them when they're down. If anything, I want to build something to help people and do it with the right motives and intentions, and not, like I don't know. I don't want to go off on no tangent or nothing, but I think that it's just important to embrace love. Like I think God is love. I think love is one of the most powerful things in this universe. That's about the best I can answer that.
Well, for me, to answer your question, Courtney, from my own personal experience, um, first I had to change my thought process about death. And what I found comfort in was knowing that the soul doesn't die. Whether you're in spirituality, whether you're in Christianity, both tells you that there is eternal life.
Yeah,
So when I found that comfort in knowing that the soul doesn't die, you mean to tell me that my little soul gonna live on? This body can go away because I ain't just, it ain't
yeah,
pleasing all the time,
yeah.
but my soul won't die.
I
It
can
brought
share
me
this.
so much comfort.
I
And
can share two things that brings me comfort. And one is that when my great great grandmother passed when I was in high school, she
mm,
was like 94, 95, something like that. And the doctors resuscitated her and they brought her back. And she told the doctors, baby, don't you do that no more. I was good. I'm all right. She was a firm believer in Jesus Christ. Like she like, no, no, I'm all right. And so
I
when
didn't
she
mean to
transitioned,
laugh, but that was
she
it was funny.
she
I,
went on. And like I said, I do believe that God is real because I'll tell you that, you know, I'll share this with you. But when I was a young child, I don't like to say an out of body experience, but I was drowning in the pool, and I remember as a child saying that I seen angels. They were fighting in the water. I
mm-hmm,
don't remember everything in detail, but I remember enough to know that that kind of made me really believe like God is real. So as a young child, I was always pretty much a believer and believed in loving people and treating people right. Now I'm not gonna sit there and say that I was perfect all my life, nothing like that. I'd be lying, but I
mm-hmm,
always had a love for people. And I remember like one time when I was on the train, and this is back when I was in mortuary school. There was two guys on the train discussing something. It was a little old lady sitting in the corner with like a buggy in front of her. And the guys they got off the train, and when I got ready to get off the train, the lady said to me, "Them guys was gonna rob you, but I was here." And I'm like, this lady must have been an angel or something, because how would she have known that? And it kind of really like shook me up.
mm-hmm.
But I've had many signs in my life that prove to me that like God is real. And so, like I said, it's just, death is not something that we like to walk around and think about, but we do have to be aware that, that this life is only temporary. But we shouldn't fear that. But I do believe that we should do the best that we can to love and treat people right and not hold grudges or not hate people. And because we live in this world where it's so easy to like hate people, and especially with things like
Mm-hmm.
racism and hatred. And but people got to realize it don't matter what color we are, everybody's gonna leave here one day. So I think
Absolutely.
that it's a lesson for humanity to learn to love one another and to grow with one another. Like we ain't got to be jealous of one another, and people robbing and hurting and harming one another. We all just people. And if we all people that's helping one another, maybe we could turn the world upside down. But I guess that's a story for another day.
Yes. Well, I have to say that if I reach 95, 94, 95, I'm gonna be just like grandma. Don't you do that. Let me go out. I love that because I actually thought when my grandmother passed away, I didn't realize it then, but I know it now without a shadow of a doubt. My grandma knew. She knew. And everything she did 7 days before was intentional because she knew she was getting ready to transition. And she
Yeah.
died with a smile on her face.
Yeah, look, I remember when I was working at the funeral home full time, there was a lady, she lived to be 100 years old. Her family said that she told God and said, I'm ready. And she went on home to be with the Lord. And so I just think that it's just is like me, like I said, I tell people it's great to believe in God, but it's also great to love people because I believe that God is love. And I think that because a lot of people talk about God and this and that, but if we think that we're better than other people, and I put it like this, like we're all just people. People are people. And like I said, the world is not necessarily a bad place, but it's only when we give room to bad things that. So I think there's people we just have to keep loving our hearts and treat people right and be as honest with one another as we can be. But of course, society teaches other principles, but that's them.
Mhm.
But we have to choose the right path for ourselves.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And that's just a little weightology.
Okay, Wadeology. All right. So when your own time here is complete, Wade, what legacy do you hope people remember about Wade Simmons?
That he loved God and that he loved people. Um, That's all. If nothing else, if they don't know the filmmaker, if they don't know the wrestler, if they don't know this, as long as they know he loved God and loved people, that's all that
Period.
would be. That's all that really
Period. Period. I love that. It's been such a pleasure. It's just sitting here talking to you. I got some more questions, but I'm bringing you back for a part two. So,
matters. Well, you can ask another
we,
one if you want to. I'll take them.
so we'll one more. We'll take it out with one more. If you could sit with someone who is grieving right now and offer them one piece of wisdom for your years of experience, what would you say?
I would ask them, what was something that they loved one enjoyed to do.
Yes.
And the reason why I said it is because like I feel like sometimes you gotta realize this again. Everybody gonna grieve differently, but sometimes there are little things that you can do for people to kind of help them to process it. You know,
Mhm.
you can't heal that wound because again, like I said, it's grief is something that really to me doesn't go away. It doesn't mean for me like I don't sit around and just cry about it. But to me, I take my grief and I just turn it into something more powerful. You know,
Yeah.
like a supernova ability.
But you gotta feel it to
Oh yeah,
heal
yeah. You look, you got it. Look, you gotta
it.
feel it. And like I
Mhm.
said, everybody feels it different.
Yeah.
But I just try to keep people's memory in my heart and just love the people that's still here and treat them right. And even when somebody called me, like I try to talk to people. Like I don't like if I know you, even if I just met a person one time or whatever like that. Like if I feel a genuine bond with people, I genuinely like to just check on people, ask how you doing. Just it's good to check in on people because you never really know how somebody feeling. But it's
Yeah.
important to check in on people and just see it because everybody want to be close to people when they're gone. But it's
Yes.
a good thing to be there for people in life.
Give me my flowers while I can smell them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. It's been such a pleasure sitting down and speaking with you tonight. Do you have anything that you would like to say to the people? And also, I want to tell the people how they can connect with you and stay connected with you.
Well, I'll just tell you, don't take life for granted. Keep God first. Love people, treat people right. Don't sweat the small stuff. And if you want to reach out, I'll talk to anybody. I like people. Look, I ain't nobody important that I can't speak to people. Like I love people. So I'm always look. If I can't help you, I ain't gonna hurt you. But you can reach me on Facebook as Wade Simmons, or you can reach me on Instagram, Wade Jedi 99. Feel free to reach out. I'm a chatterbox, so feel free.
What was that IG again?
Wade Jedi 99, like Star Wars.
Uh, you a Star Wars, you a Trekkie.
Uh huh.
Okay, well, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you, Wade. Thank you all for tuning in to Let's Talk Grief. I am your host, Lakecia, and tune in on next week. We coming back with something really raw. And also, I'll let y'all know when Wade come back because I really enjoyed this show. So thank you so much for
And thank you
coming and
for
giving
tuning
your
in.
perspective of
Thanks to
grief.
everybody who tuning in, and I love you all as well. And I hope that you live your life with purpose and intention. Them dreams that God gave you, go for them. Don't be afraid of failure because it's only a stepping stone. So keep up the great work.
Come on, leave the people with a word. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Well, it's been such a pleasure. You have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.